And if there is one medicine from the acids group that a homeopath should have in his uh, daily use for constitutional prescribing, and the most frequently prescribed polycrest from the acids, it has to be phosphoric acid. This is the closest medicine to the deeper states of ignatia, deeper states of causticum. Some patterns of causticum ignatia will be visible, and natramune. So let us delve into phosphoric acid, and you will see that the first line says that there is ailments from care, chagrin, grief, sorrow, homesickness. We see this already in the remedy ignatia. We have also seen in gelsemium. In fact, capsicum has homesickness very strongly. Sleepy, disposed to weep, night sweats towards morning. So those patients who have excess of sweating in the night time in the bed, you think of Cilicia, parts lain on, but you should also give a thought to phosphoric acid. Homesickness, this is one of the traits mentioned. Very interesting. How will you find this out from patient? Very rarely patients will tell you. I'll tell you a tip which you will carry from today onwards. There was a patient I saw, and when she was narrating the case with me, she was constantly worried about her home, stuff. Whether the water has come on time, has the tap been closed, calling her daughter again and again, is the food cooked properly, is there any courier parcel, and she was narrating her details, constantly asking her daughter again and again on the call. I got irritated because when the patient is with us, we need to have their focus as much as focus we put to them. But this was her nature, and we have to let them be themselves. This is the secret for case taking. Let them be themselves, and that will give you the real essence of all the patients and all their symptoms, definitely narrated without telling or with telling. So this patient was constantly asking, and that's what I picked up as homesickness. In subsequent follow-ups, I saw that this patient improved so well on this particular remedy which has homesickness. So I'll put that case up sometime in future, but just to give you an idea of how homesickness will be illustrated by different patients, and this is one of the examples. Children will often tell that they miss home, or they want to go home, they want to not be in the doctor's clinic, but elder patients, adults, will narrate it in this way which I described. If you have missed it, go back and see what was the narration. That will give you a fair idea of how you should pick up homesickness. It will be care, worry, but it will be also homesickness. Patient wants to go home because that is her comfort zone. So best suited, phosphoric acid is best suited to persons of originally strong constitutions who have become debilitated by loss of vital fluids, sexual excesses. We see this in China. Violent acute diseases, chagrin, or a long succession of moral emotions, grief, care, disappointed affections. So we often prescribed alpha tonics and lot of biochemic medicines for weakness after acute illnesses. We do not prescribe medicines in dilutions. If you get a chance, prescribe phosphoric acid to the patient after their acute illnesses. The improvement will be drastic, fast, and the trust of the patient in homeopathy will be even more than it was earlier when he was or she was taking medicines. So long succession emotions, again and again deaths in the family, repeated deaths, grief, or repeated mental moral affection, someone has rebuked her again and again. This happens especially in children who do not like a particular place like a school or a tuition. They have been tormented by the teacher again and again that you have to do the homework on time, and they do not like to be mold in that way. That's where you can think of phosphoric acid. So you will see in the next few lines how it is adapted to children remedy. As a children remedy, how you can give phosphoric acid. Before proceeding, we see that there is phosphoric acid mentioned for pale sickly complexion. The patient is listless, apathetic, indifferent to the affairs of life, prostrated and stupefied with grief to those things that have been of most interest. There was a child who came with the parents, and the parents brought him, and the parent had told me that he used to be so excited to go to school, but since the time we got to know that the teacher, certain teacher was teaching a subject, she got changed, she moved to another city, there was a new teacher coming. From that time onwards, the child developed some sort of a problem, and this case will be put up very soon. So this patient received phosphoric acid over a period of 6-8 months. How he improved and what was the disease, that was interesting to see. It's very funny and it's very intriguing how children diseases are so much psychosomatic than more of a functional or pathological. Once you realize that, you will be in a better position to treat all pediatric cases than ever before. So phosphoric acid will be a remedy which will be needed for such children who have psychosomatic complaints. Staph is another, natramure is another, ignatia is another. You will see lot of remedies which are of sensitivity of moral nature, which will be required for children rather than any pathological or functional remedies which we always think of in other cases. So you have this patient phosphoric acid who is indifferent to the current affairs which are going on in his life currently, and you will see that there is lot of weakness, debility, emaciation, delirium, muttering, unintelligible, lies in a stupor or in a stupid sleep, unconscious of all that is going around him or her. When aroused he is fully conscious and answers slowly correctly but relapses into stupor. Now in contrast to arnica or other delirium remedies, we know stramonium, we know hyoscyamus, we know belladonna. We should explore these remedies. There will be more of a active inflammation or cerebral activity in those remedies, but here in arnica and phosphoric acid you will see that there is a reduced cerebral activity, weakness of some sort, and this brings them to the lowest possible energy expenditure state, which is where they go into stupor, come back, go back, come back, go back. So that you will see in most of the fevers which have been prolonged for a long time, and this is the state you will see. They will answer, go back and come back. You can ask this as a confirmatory in such cases which are of long standing, and you will definitely get a positive answer for prescribing phosphoric acid. In children and young people who grow too rapidly, calcarea carb, calcarea phos and phosphoric acid is to be prescribed left, right and center. You can think of it. I have been describing about all the details of how you can see the homesickness, how you can see the moral emotions which are affected, children getting rebuked from teachers. This is one of the elements where the child has grown too fast as on the physical aspect, but on the moral aspect he is still growing, and that is where the lag happens and the child gets affected from the external circumstances, and it becomes a perfect recipe for phosphoric acid. Patient trembles, legs weak, stumbles easily or makes missteps, and there is weakness. Headache, there is crushing weight on vertex from long lasting grief or exhausted nerves in occiput and nape of the neck, usually from behind forward. We see this in many remedies. Aggravated from least motion, noise, especially music, and better by lying. Bryonia, gelsemium, and silica have been mentioned along with phosphoric acid. In children or schoolgirls where there is lot of headache from eye strain or overuse of eyes, you can think of calcarea phos, you can think of natramure, and of students who are growing too fast. So you see this line is repeated the second time, and that's where you should make a note of it and see patients from top to bottom, observe them, ask their age, see their weight, see their height, whether it corresponds to the normal scale or is it more or is it less. You have some authentic data which you can rely on rather than something that is interpretational and can vary from homeopath to homeopath. So eyes are sunken, surrounded by blue margins. Pulsatilla is the remedy mentioned. Phosphoric acid is also the remedy mentioned. chest is weak from talking, coughing, and sternum metallicum is one of the top remedies we mentioned. We saw this in all the metal remedies. There is an essence which you need to note, and similarly, you will see in acids also there is this essence that each activity requires bare minimum effort, and he is working on an energy efficient mode, and that's where you will see the voice may be husky, the voice may be low, the energy will be low, the arousal of the mental senses is to some extent there and then goes back into dormant stage. And you will see that this state of weakness of talking persists in debilitating diseases. TB is very rarely seen, tuberculosis by homeopaths, but if you get a chance, I currently have a few tuberculosis patients, very tough to manage. You need to monitor them every few days. If you get a chance, try to observe such patients, how they are managed on homeopathy. I'll put up these cases for you all to watch, how they are improving, when, what you need to give when. That's the challenge each homeopath should deal with. Nervous patients, and they become weak from loss of vital fluids, too rapid and depressing mental emotions. Diarrhea. Now we come to the gastrointestinal sphere, and you see that there is painless diarrhea, not debilitating, white or yellow, watery from acids, involuntary, with the flatus and aloes and natramur have been mentioned as complementary remedies you can think of. In fact, sulfur as one of the complementary remedies for all the three remedies, and prescribe as soon as the effect of either of the prescribed constitutional remedies or indicated remedies is seen, you will get good results immediately. From fear, diarrhea developing from fear, phosphoric acid is one of the top remedies. You see this also in argentum nitricum, in gelsemium, and phosphoric acid can be one of the leading sheet anchors for your prescription for anticipation or especially from fear. Urine looks mixed like jelly, blood pieces decomposes rapidly. We see this in Mercor, Cantharis, Apis, and now we see this in phosphoric acid. Although the active inflammation is not there in phosphoric acid, if you see all the literature, there is this inflammation which is known as asthenic type. It is lying low deep within the body and does not harm the patient actively, but it has caused a debility over a period of a few weeks or few months. That's where you will see this kind of a state. Profuse urination at night of clear watery urine, which forms white cloud at once, and there is more of a phosphate in the urine, which is like a nervous wastage that happens. Onanism, and this is where you will need to prescribe this remedy, especially in people, adolescent groups, children. Even if you ask or don't ask, you will understand that there is a lot of weakness or constant worry that they will exclaim, and you can think of this remedy where the patient is looking down all the time as if guilty of his own action. Staph can be thought, phosphoric acid can be thought. Not many patients would be willing to open unless really confidential that they are doing this act of onanism, masturbation, and that's where you can directly jump onto it and ask these adolescent kids, because it's a age where they explore themselves and they'll become guilty because according to the societal norms it's wrong, or they hear it that they are doing wrong or something which is bad. Emission, which is frequent, profuse, debilitating after coitus, most desire after several after ejaculation they have more desire, several erections in the night, abashed, sad, and he's despair of cure. So patients who constantly ask you again and again of how they will recover, why they are not improving in spite of so much of action they are putting into actively resolving their disease, they need to be taken into consideration for despair of cure, or maybe I will never become better. This is what they assume and develop a fixed idea. That's where you can consider despair of cure. You can find the rubric also, hopelessness, in the repertory. Over here it's mentioned despair of cure, and you can prescribe phosphoric acid as one of the top remedies for this. So we have many of our regular people on Instagram and YouTube, and glad to see so many of our regulars who have joined. Last but not the least, phosphoric acid, we see there is interstitial inflammation of bones and scrofulous, psychotic, and syphilitic mercurial. So these are the old age terminologies, but in the current age, you will see osteomyelitis, osteophytes, there is this kind of lumbar spondylosis and cervical spondylosis. Those can also be thought for phosphoric acid if the disease has been weakening the patient, and there is pains which are burning, tearing as if scraped with a knife, caries and rachitis, that is depletion of bone but not necrosis. There is a growing pain which is increasing slowly over a period of time. So you'll see that initially when I started taking up acids, I have already mentioned that these acids have a kind of a tendency to penetrate the deeper tissues of the body, and that's where you can consider phosphoric acid as one of the top remedies for bony troubles as well, because it is one of the essential elements for all the bone building blocks of the body. Last but not the least, you have boring, drawing, digging pains in the nerves of the extremities, necrosis in stump after amputations. Allium cepa is one of the top remedies. Hypericum can be thought. In fact, I would reiterate everyone to go and read Dr. Margaret Tyler's book on drug pictures and a letter from a war army's sergeant who wrote to some doctor how hypericum helped after shrapnel injuries so rapidly that he never imagined homeopathy can be so fast. So in this way, phosphoric acid can also help those nerve areas where it is very sensitive. From this sensitivity, we can understand how the person will also be so sensitive that he is affected by the least disturbance in the surroundings around him. That's what brings up and sums up the phosphoric acid. You will be able to prescribe it in fevers when there is no activity by the patient. He is lying as if he is just taking his last breath, or there is complete loss of hope from him or the relatives, and the disease has been progressing. There may be intestinal hemorrhage or blood which is dark, and low types of fever is mentioned. Now to understand this, I had taken a fever workshop. I will be putting up it collectively for you all to access. You can contact me if you wish to avail it. Compare phosphoric acid with phosphorus, pulsatilla, picric acid, silicium, muriatic acid in typhoids, and in nitrous spiritus dulcis in apathetic stupor and delirium. Phosphoric acid also acts well before or after China. One of the sheet anchor remedies which I prescribed after weakness in acute diseases. In fact, if you go in Bogar, you will see that there is a remedy. There is a rubric in generality section, weakness or debility after acute illnesses. There are 3 remedies: China, veratrum album, and phosphoric acid. So you can think of these 3 remedies as one of the top remedies for all the weakness that happens after the acute diseases. You will see aggravation of phosphoric acid from mental affections. The first one which is mentioned, loss of vital fluids, especially seminal or self-abuse, sexual excesses, and talking causes great weakness in chest. We have been seeing this all through the acid group, that they have very less energy to speak out, and what they are working on is ultra saving mode, what we call from the current devices that we hold it. They go into deep energy saving mode. This is what acids is all about. Energy which is spent entirely, and there is very less energy to perform basic functions. If you understand that from the patient's narration, your job is done to prescribe phosphoric acid. That's all from today's session, and I hope you all have been benefited. If you wish to go through the first part where I spoke about how you will pick up psychosomatic cases in children, homesickness in different patients, children or adults, go back to the initial part, starting of this video. It will be put up, and let me know in the comments how this has helped you.